How's it going, guys? I've got a quick video here, just a quick review of an older book. Today I've got some thoughts about The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole. This is an older book, published in 1764. It is widely considered the first Gothic novel. It's got a lasting legacy in the genre. It's also inspired many other stories since then. So just a little background about the story. It was inspired by a nightmare that the author had, Horace Walpole, while he was staying in his own Gothic manor at the time. And then he published the story anonymously with a preface mentioning that it was a recent find that was recently translated into English from I believe Italian, that it was recently found, that it could have taken place sometime during the Crusades. And so critics and readers in the beginning believed that it was that was true, that it was a real accounting of events that happened. But in later editions, the author would then claim the work as his own work of fiction. It would then be called The Castle of Otranto, a Gothic novel, or a Gothic story. So the setting is in Europe, I believe somewhere near Italy, but I'm not sure, to be honest. It's mostly takes place in a castle, the Castle of Otranto. The timing is kind of vague too. It could take place anywhere between the time of the Crusades and the 18th century. I'm sure smarter people would be able to dial in the timing a little more based on the language and based on the things in the story, but I'm not going to do that. And so what is it about? It's about the family that lives in the castle. The lord of the castle is Manfred, and his wife is Hippolyta, or however you say that. His son, his favoritist, the kid he likes the most is his son, and that is Conrad. He also has a daughter, Isabella. No, his daughter is Matilda. Isabella is the woman that Conrad is going to marry. Then there's some servants and some friars and some other knights and people from other places and all kinds of stuff. So what the plot is Conrad is due to be wed to Isabella, but on the day of their wedding, something happens to Conrad. I don't want to spoil what happens, even though it happens like in the first page or something. But something happens that delays or puts a pin in the wedding ceremony. So the fallout of that is that Isabella is grief-stricken, and so she runs into the castle and hides, and the family is in shambles as well. Manfred takes a little different approach. He goes up into like his room or whatever, and then yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, so it's hard to say what really goes on. But Manfred gets a little devious. I'll say. That's all I'll say. And so then from there, you got some people who are escaping from the castle and people who are trying to get into the castle throughout the story. And there's a whole story that unravels after that. It's a lot to do with families and bloodlines and succession and marriage and things like that. But why is it considered a Gothic novel? Well, it takes place in the castle, a big scary castle with lots of scary tunnels and apparitions. Yeah, so there's ghosts in the story. Ghosts will come out of paintings. Again, I'm not gonna mention any details, but involved are some very large body parts. So there you go. So some things happen. Stuff happens, people do things, people say things, people get ideas. Things are revealed later in the story about Conrad and his family and some other characters that are involved. Some people die, there's more ghosts, more weird stuff. yeah, that's really about it. I don't want to go into the story too much because that would spoil it, even though it's 300 years old. So all in all, it was a pretty short read. I believe it was around 80 pages. I read the ebook. You can download it for free. It's in the public domain. Yeah. So what did I like about the story? Well, I liked the scary stuff, the stuff with the ghosts. There were some parts that were really creepy, and some parts that were really just off the wall bonkers, especially for the time. And some of the passages about some hidden tunnels and some dark places were really bone chilling, kind of. So that was a nice aspect to the story. I also enjoyed the humor. There was a little bit of humor in it, which I found surprising. Some exchanges between Manfred and his servants about what they're seeing in the castle. I also enjoyed the language. I didn't think it was that dense or that thick, considering it was written in the 1700s. Because I've read things from the 1800s and 1900s that were much harder to parse through. This wasn't that bad, and I'd say the beginning chapters, maybe the first quarter of the book, was kind of suspenseful. It was kind of interesting to read with some of the absurd things that happened, finding out what was going to happen after that. Let's get into what I didn't like. What I didn't like was the middle of the book and also the latter half of the book. It descends into a soap opera of sorts, a lot of melodrama, a lot of dialogue, a lot of conflict, a lot of people entering the story and telling their stories and revealing more things, and another person enters the story and they'll reveal more things and tell their story, and it gets kind of tedious there for a while. And I'd say the horror aspects were not all that prevalent, especially after the first chapter or two. There's only a few mentions after that of the weird stuff. So it'd be nice to have some more of that later on in the story to counteract the human drama. But yeah, that's about it. It was a decent story, nothing groundbreaking. If you're interested in exploring the roots of Gothic horror, you can give it a chance. It's not that long. If any of the story sounds interesting to you, you can give it a chance. If you're just looking for a ghost story or something like that, you can probably skip it. Even though it's considered the first Gothic novel, it doesn't have a lasting legacy as far as the plot or anything about the story itself. So if you don't want to read it, it's fine. You're not going to miss a whole lot. But if you do read it, it's a decent story. A little bit entertaining. So I rated it a 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about the story. But anyways, that's going to do it for now. Thanks for watching. And fun fact, this is the third time I've recorded a review of this book. The first two were awful. This one's, I don't know, probably awful too.